who have facilitated this forum for many years in an unbiased and professional manner. We appreciate you, and we look forward to tonight's event. Having said that, I'd like to turn it over to Ellen Franz, who will serve as the moderator this evening. Ellen.
Thank you, Cheryl. Okay. I'll be moderating this evening, which simply means that I try to keep track of the order and ask the questions, but the questions were submitted from individuals, I assume from the Holmen School District, and the questions that people are interested in hearing the candidates respond to. Each of the candidates is going to have a 2-minute opening, each question up to 1 minute to respond, and then a closing of 2 minutes. So when we get toward the end of the hour, close to 8 o'clock, we'll have to move to that closing piece. The order is going to be the ballot order. So if you as a voter haven't looked to see what your ballot looks like yet, it has an order that's picked randomly already. So the ballot order is Josh Newman, Rebecca Rieber, Barb Wrench, and then Chad Updike. I asked the candidates if I could refer to them by first names this evening, so we're going to do that. Be a little bit more casual, and it takes less time actually to use first names. We get more in. Our timekeeper, Mary Nugent, is going to show us how skilled she is at having the time, so the candidates will be able to see the time that's left when they start responding to a question. Okay, I think we're good to go. So the opening statement, Josh, your opening statement first.
All right, thanks, Ellen. Appreciate it. So great to be with everybody. Excited to be together and be able to just share some thoughts about the community, introduce ourselves, and hopefully get to have a chance for you guys to get to know all of us better. My wife and I have been in Holmen since 2011. I'm 42 years old. We have 6 children and been in the same house since we moved to Holmen. Decided to plant our roots in this area and have absolutely loved it. We're both come from the Milwaukee area, met at UW La Crosse, and decided to stay here and raise our families, and it's been awesome. 2 of our high school boys, we have 6 kids, 5 boys and 1 daughter. 2 of our boys are in high school right now. One actually just graduated in January, so he's out. And our younger kids, my wife, my beautiful and awesome wife, homeschools our younger 4 kids, and plan as a family is for them to be going to Holmen High School as well when they're ready for that. So she had a double major in elementary ed, early childhood, and I've had people tell me that homeschooling my kids disqualifies me from running for the school board. And I think quite to the contrary, I've had a front row seat to a lot of the struggles, albeit admittedly differently than the teachers face in the classroom, but I've had a front row seat to a lot of those, and I get to play the role of principal in the Newman house. So I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor in our area since the early 2000s, shortly after I graduated. Started my own company 10 years ago, watched a lot of growth in Holmen. And I cannot count the number of times that clients, some of their first questions is always, hey, what area has the best school district? What's the best school district? Who has the best facilities? And so I am running for school board because I want to be able to proudly tell people that Holmen is the best school district. Holmen has the most cutting edge facilities, and we've seen growth of almost 500 new residential units in the last 2 years. It's not going to slow down because of the topography and the growth of our area. So as a business owner, I want to bring you unique set of eyes in leading people, maximizing dollars, bring those to the board as an asset to our community.
Thank you, Josh. Rebecca, your opening?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Rieber. I'm a current school board member, also the vice president. I've been on the school board for 6 years, so this would be my 3rd term. I have 2 older children, 25 and 27, who are Holmen graduates. My husband and I have been married for 32 years, and we are also Holmen graduates, so we take pride in that. I thank the district for raising my children in a great educational community. I couldn't be more grateful to all of them. I currently am a long-term care administrator. I've been in healthcare for 30 years also. I am regulated by a governing agency. I review policies and procedures, make sure they're implemented. I recruit and retain a diverse population of employees. It's very difficult right now to do, but with our creativity and the team that I've created, we're doing a great job. I'm thankful to be in the Holmen community. We've been here a very long time. Like I said earlier, I've been on the board for 6 years. Been through a lot of struggles, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Barb, your opening statement?
Good evening. My name is Barb Wrench. I am also a Holmen graduate and the mother of 2 recent graduates as well. My husband of 8 years is also a Holmen graduate. I am proud of the education my children received in the Holmen district. Their teaching staff were first class, and I have a great deal of respect for the work that they do. Personally, I have been serving on the Student Achievement and Learning Committee for the Holmen School Board for approximately the last 6 months. I sit on the board of directors for the McGilvery Road 7 Bridges, and I have worked for the state of Wisconsin for 24 years. I have dedicated my life to serving our community. And I thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum tonight and giving me a chance to share my perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad, your opening?
My name's Chad Updike. I'm a Holmen resident, parent, business owner. I grew up right down the road in Trempealeau. And while Josh and I were hesitant on doing the forum, we're glad to be here tonight. We had an overwhelming number of teachers and prominent community members come and ask us to participate so that we could share our perspectives on the many challenges facing our district. So we're glad to be here. Over the course of the last 2 years, we've seen how important local government is. National and even state government garners a lot of attention, and rightfully so. But when it comes to the impact on our daily lives, local government is far more important. I've attended 20 plus board meetings over the last 2 years, and the more I watched and learned about what was going on, the more frustrated I grew. So that's kind of what motivated me to run, to try to make a difference. I have a young and a busy family. I have a thriving and growing business. I'm on the board for the Holmen Area Foundation. I'm the vice president for the Chiropractic Society of Wisconsin, our state chiropractic association. So I didn't need to add something else to my plate, but I really think the stakes are too high for our kids to sit on the sidelines. We're unfortunately losing teachers at a staggering rate, and in danger of losing more from speaking to them because they're not compensated competitively. And after hearing about the state of our 3 buildings at the last board meeting, we realized the dire situation that our infrastructure is in. And there's more division between community members now than ever before. It's going to take renewed leadership to rectify those huge challenges our district is facing. I'll bring a new perspective to the board and the grit and humility to lead our district through these challenges. There's so many amazing things about our district, and our teachers and staff being paramount among them. We simply need strong leaders to lead us back.
Thank you, Chad. And some of you have kind of hit on parts of this first question, and the question goes first to Rebecca. And so the question was asked from a voter, why are you running? And to that I'm adding, are there particular issues that have motivated you to run for school board? Rebecca?
Yes, I think I get a minute here, don't I? Okay. I'm currently on the Building and Grounds Committee. We've just been given a lot of information about the current conditions of our buildings. So that is one thing. I'm a go-getter. I've been on the Building and Grounds Committee in my entire 6 years. There's a lot of work to do. We've been doing a lot of work. We have a lot of work also with staffing needs, recruitment, retention, recruiting a diverse population. We're losing teachers. We're also gaining teachers from other areas as well, and other employees. That's all I have.
Thank you. Same question, Barb.
Very simply, I want every student to feel they are important and worthy, regardless of their race, gender, socioeconomic status, or their ability. I want them to accomplish goals they have been told elsewhere that they weren't capable of reaching, and I want them to succeed in whatever they choose and know that the Holmen School District was a part of those achievements, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Same question, Chad.
As I mentioned in my opening, the number one reason that I chose to run is because I felt like parents' voices weren't being heard. Over the course of the last 2 years, obviously there was challenging times and a lot of different things that we had to go through as a district, but I felt like our voices weren't being heard. So that's the number one reason that I decided to run in the first place. And the more we've learned throughout the process, the more important I think it is. Like I said, there's situations within the district from school buildings that are in bad repair. Obviously, the more we learn about teacher compensation, the more we realize this is a huge problem, that we're losing people at a staggering rate. And if we don't correct it, we're at danger of losing even more teachers. I hear from more and more every day that say that that's the number one issue, is compensation, more so than any other factor. And there's more, there's a lot of ways you can show a workforce that you appreciate them, but the number one way is to compensate them. And so that's why we're running for school district.
Same question, Josh.
Yeah. So, well, I would have never, why am I motivated to run? Man, being a dad, being a parent is the hardest job I think that is out there. Being a teacher, you're kind of, you've got a huge role in kids' lives. So that might be one of the other top ones. To be motivated, I was not aware of much of went on, or involved on the makeup of how the school board functions and all that stuff. Certainly not looking to become, this wasn't even on my radar, I guess would be the way I would say it. But I got motivated when I started attending meetings and really seeing the uniformity across the opinions of all the school board members. I think anytime you have a diverse community, it's good to have diverse voices. That's how you come to solutions, is when you have a little bit of this. It's healthy when you have mature people doing that. That's how you find good solutions. So that motivated me. I just saw a voice that was maybe, not being represented and the council, taken. So that's what got me motivated. When there's a need, I want to step in.
Thank you. And the next question goes first to Barb. And it has to do with parents and their involvement in the school district. So I'm going to kind of ask two subparts here, just so we can get it in, I guess, time-wise. So the question is, how should a parent become involved in school district and decision-making? And how should conflict then between the parents and the administration, school district, be handled?
Well, as a parent of students who just graduated from Holmen, I spent countless hours volunteering in the district from the time my kids were in 4K right up until the time they graduated last year. And I was able to see firsthand what takes place in our schools. I think serving on a committee is also an excellent way to become involved in our district. And I believe that if a parent has a suggestion, they're always able to contact staff or the administration if necessary.
Thank you. Same question, Chad.
I think one of the best ways that parents can be involved with their children's education is being good leaders at home, right? Setting a good example for their kids, and to hopefully that when they end up in the classroom, they're respecting their teachers, they're respecting what's going on there. But also, I think the parents need to have a voice in what's going on at schools. Not so much in the day-to-day operations and to that degree, but if there's a problem, parents need to have an opportunity to voice that problem. And I think there's something very, very powerful about being able to go to a board meeting and discuss that in a cordial way. I think that there's probably some changes that could be made to that public participation. It's very challenging to blast all one way and then the other way blast back. So I think I think that's very powerful, and that needs to come back, the public participation portion of the board meetings.
Thank you. Same question, Josh.
Yeah, so I think what Barb mentioned, being on committees is a huge way for parents to get involved and have their voice be heard. I had a chance to volunteer several years ago. They did a senior day where they did the whole senior class came together and they talked about respecting each other, and seniors were crying together, and it felt like this awesome summer camp moment. And I just saw the length at which the staff went to execute that, and the reality day that I've been a part of. Very cool. But I'll echo what Chad said. The having one thing that really spurred me on definitely to run was when one of the committees decided to take public participation, unless it's on the approved agenda, out of the school board meetings, right? And so I think that's a chance. The public, it's our board, and so there's great power that comes when the public can publicly share with their peers concerns they have, different things that are going on, different encouragement, whatever it is. And now if it's not on that the top small little section on the approved agenda, we can't do that. I think that is a way that we should be able to be involved going forward for sure.
Thank you. Rebecca, same question?
Yes, I think parent involvement is very important, whether it's in the classroom involvement, whether it's on the playground, whether it's on the library, in the library, excuse me. But I think it's important for parents to share their ideas and communicate with the teachers themselves. And then also communicate if they're not getting the answers that they want, is to communicate with administration. I also encourage everybody to be educated on what the board does, and getting involved in that way. There's a lot of behind the scenes things that the board does do prior to meeting. I encourage any parent to come to a school board meeting, involve themselves in a building and grounds committee, the other committees that we have out there. But I think parent involvement is very important to teach children how to be active in their community and also in their schools.
Thank you. The next question is going to go first to Chad. And this has to do, and I don't live in the Holmen School District, so I'm probably not on top of this issue as much as the four of you are that live in the district and live through the last school year. So, this is the question that was posed. During the past year or so, there were issues over masks at school. What was your position then? Do you suggest following recommendations of the CDC, La Crosse Health Department? If not, what guidelines do you propose to keep children safe and healthy while attending school? I know that's a lot. See if you can condense it down. And it goes.
Yeah, that's quite the question. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's any secret that we were big proponents for giving parents choices. I think that's always important when it comes to, especially when it comes to those types of decisions, putting that onus back onto the parents. That's an important thing for a lot of people. There were a lot of different reasons that maybe somebody couldn't wear a mask. And unfortunately, that decision was taken away from parents. And we obviously spoke out and were very, very much in favor of giving parents the choice when it comes to that. So I think this was clearly, as with everything in the pandemic, I don't think there was ever a a consensus on anything throughout. It was constantly changing, right? So I was frustrated that we weren't willing to look at that and modify it as quickly as I thought we should have. But I'm always for giving parents choice.
Thank you. Same question, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, hey, early on in this pandemic, I remember my kids putting their hands in the chip bag and smacking their hands and saying, pour the chips on your plate. When we didn't know what we were up against, that was a scary, scary time. I remember talking to my wife and saying, this could knock out part of our family, right? I mean, if you can take yourself back to that time. For me, and so certainly those early days, school canceled, kids home, and then taking measures to come back to school. I was with Chad though, saying, hey, this is a parent's choice. As we got down the road, it became very clear when all of our stores, all of our grocery stores, Holmen Corn Fest, our kids are watching NBA games and NFL games and awards ceremonies put on by celebrities where none of them are masked. Our politicians are on TV in big groups hugging each other, not masked. And we're telling our kids who had a very low rate of risk for COVID to be masked up. Kids with asthma, kids with learning disabilities. And I think we need to be leaders on looking at those things and not just sit back and follow what other people are saying. Local health officials, take their advice, follow some of that stuff, but we got to be willing to look at both sides of the coin on that stuff and look at what the community is saying as far as stores and those types of things.
Thank you. Rebecca, same question.
I guess I would have to say we learned so much over this past 2 years. I'm grateful for the teachers and the students. The district itself went through a lot. It's nothing that anybody has ever experienced before. We kept our kids in school when they had their masks on. Not initially, no, we did not. But I'm very grateful for what the district did do. Glad we followed the things that we followed. I'm an advocate for masks, so I'm glad we did what we did.
Thank you. And Barb, same question.
Bottom line for me is our students have the right to be in a safe environment. I don't know about you, but this was my first pandemic, and I was thankful that our district and our administration followed the advice of the medical professionals. Because of that, when our kids did go back to in-person learning, they didn't have to go back to virtual. There were other schools in our area. I can think of La Crescent, I can think of Logan Middle School that due to issues, they had to go back to virtual. And Holmen did not have to do that. And by keeping that mask rule in place as long as they did, not only did they keep our children safe, but it helped to keep the rest of our community safe. I will always believe that part of that was because our kids were masked and we kept everyone safe.
Thank you. And the next question goes first to Josh. We're kind of back at the beginning of the rotation. So we're back to Josh. And this is the question. How can the school board provide a safe educational atmosphere for all students and make every child and the child's family feel welcome?
That's a very broad question. But it's 101, community 101, humankind 101. Loving your neighbor. That's all these issues that we bicker about and get really upset about. A lot of times we look at these like 20,000 foot views at things and what should we be doing on this grand scale? The reality is if kind of like Chad said, this starts at home, teaching our kids how to, be kind. Holmen should be a place that is welcoming to everyone, regardless of your socioeconomic status, your race, your sexual orientation, you name it. Discrimination has no place. We all know that. Now, how that rolls out, you got to make sure kids that if we have issues, number one, that they're handled. We can't let that stuff be tolerated and people not feeling welcome. Obviously everybody's welcome, and the beauty, our differences are what make us beautiful, and being able to do create a community that is, unique and fun and expressive and all those things.
Thank you. Rebecca, same question?
Yes, I like to think in terms of safety as not just the physical safety of our buildings, the improvements we've made, but also the environment that's been more safe. Safety mentally and socially for our children, providing those types of things, not just the physical environment and the doors that we've switched and the improvements we've made, but that social, emotional, and safety and the mental health safety for all of our students is important.
Thank you. Barb, same question?
Well, all of our students have the right to be in a safe environment, and I can speak from the aspect of the Student Achievement and Learning Committee. Over the last few months, the committee has been reviewing the bullying policy, and one of the most significant changes that was made was to add the inclusion of hate speech to that policy. The district will be providing support of the identified victims of such behavior, as well as providing anti-bias and anti-bullying education training to students if it is determined that such behavior has been committed. And I think that those revisions will help continue with the district's commitment to our students to provide them all with a safe and secure environment.
Thank you. And Chad, same question?
So Ellen, you asked from a board level, what can we do? And I think with any relationship, whether it's you're on the board and dealing with the administrators or the teachers of the school district, or you're at home dealing with your wife or your kids, I think it all comes down to communication, right? Making sure that the right things are being communicated up the line. Throughout the course of the last couple months, we've had hundreds of people send us messages, people we didn't even know. Unfortunately, there were a lot of really sad messages that we got, that people talking about how they took their kids out of the district because they did experience some of these bad things, whether it's racially driven or whatever. And every time I would respond to these people, I was asking, was this communicated to people in the right way? And almost every time they said, yeah, this was communicated, and then it never went anywhere. So I think communication is super important, and I would work hard to make sure that that's happening all the way up the chain.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Rebecca. And a couple of you have alluded to budgeting, financial issues. And so this is the question. What are the most important budget issues facing the school district, and what are your ideas for addressing them?
Staff wages, I believe, are a big competitive, big budget issue right now facing the district. I also feel that our goal to achieve academic excellence can be met by hiring good quality educators. And of course, support staff. The district aging buildings and facility preventative maintenance isn't also currently, we just discovered that as a pretty big budgetary issue. We have to be, as far as staff recruiting and retention, we have to do it the right way. Things that we are doing may not be working right now. We may have to find a district outside of our normal districts and find out what they're doing right, and maybe copy them. Hate to use that word. And then we're going to really have to sit down with the building and grounds, and by process of elimination, determine what's most important. Sorry.
Thank you. Barb, same question.
I also believe we need to do a better job at compensating our educators. Ever since Act 10, it's been a catch-up game. And while I do believe this is part of the issue, I think that appreciation of our educators also goes a long way. The district also has timely maintenance issues that are in need of attention. And I am hopeful that the state will eventually fulfill their promise to fund a larger portion of our school district budget to assist in these needs. And that's going to help keep our mill rates steady. As people know, our taxes went down this last year. But all in all, our students and our staff deserve a safe learning environment. So those maintenance issues also need to be looked at.
Thank you. Chad, same question?
Well, I was definitely hoping this question would come up because as a business owner, we realize the importance of budgeting and finding a way, because we can't just magically make funds appear, right? So obviously, if you go back to the annual meeting in October, I went up to the stage and was banging the drum that we need to compensate our teachers better. We can't retain the teachers we have. We definitely can't attract new talent if we're not paying them competitively. For 6 out of the last 10 years, our teachers' steps have been frozen. They haven't had the ability to move forward. This is a huge deal to our teachers from talking to them. We're 12th out of 12 in sister schools and around the state of Wisconsin. If we gave every teacher in our district a $3,000 raise, we would still be 12 out of 12. So we really need to figure that out. We learned on Monday night that 3 of our buildings are in dire need of repair. Middle school, almost uninhabitable. This didn't just happen. This happened over the course of the last 20 plus years, something that should have been discovered a long time before. And as business owners, this is definitely something that we'll take care of.
Thank you. And Josh?
Ellen, we got a minute or an hour for this one? How long do we get for this one? Just a minute. Okay, this one we could go off on. Again, I'll echo what Chad said. And as a business owner, I thrive on this stuff. Budget, you can't make money just appear. But what we heard on Monday from our principals at all of our schools at the school board meeting that we attended is embarrassing for our facilities. We want to be a top-notch community. We're growing faster. We've been several times in the last couple of years, we've been the second fastest growing community in the state. Our schools need to be excellent. Our facilities need to be excellent. I've already talked to, I like being creative. This stuff gets me charged up if you can't tell. I've already talked to some landowners around the area. Unfortunately, we have 3 buildings, 2 of them over 50 years old and 1 over 70 years old. Our middle school, great facility, people, but it smells in those bathrooms like you can smell the bathroom, So we need to make some things happen on that. And I'm excited to dig in. And then our teacher pay, just like Chad said, I lose my employees if I don't pay them well. We have got to pay them. We should be paying them the best out of all the surrounding schools, not second or third, and certainly not last. We're going to dig in and figure out how to make it happen for sure. It's a priority.
Thank you. And, I'd like to give you all an hour, but we can't do that. So it's all right. And we have to get a lot of subject areas in because there were a lot of questions from the voters. So we all have to do our best, and I appreciate that you all are. This will be a shorter answer, I think, to this question. And it goes first to Barb. What is your position on school vouchers for students choosing to go to private religious schools?
Quite frankly, those vouchers are hurting our district. Funds that could be used here are being taken to fund private schools, and private schools are not held to the same standards as our public schools are. I oppose the use of public funds to finance private education.
Thank you. And Chad, same question.
Well, again, I'm come at it from a business owner's perspective in the fair market. I think that, the competition brings out the best in everyone, right? And if we're gonna expect everyone to want to be in the Holmen School District, I think it drives everyone to perform even better. So again, I'm for giving people choice, but also I think that if there's competition, everyone's going to up their game. Obviously, finances are important, and we want to ensure that our school district is getting as much funding as it possibly can. And I think if we implement the ideas that Josh and I are talking about, we ensure that we have the best facilities. We're compensating our teachers the best. People are going to want to come to the Holmen School District. We won't have to worry about any of this. And we'll have all the money that we need because we'll have to be turning people away and students away.
Thank you. Same question, Rebecca.
Yes, I am a fan of choice as well. private schools, religious schools hurt our public funding, like we, I think, all agree on. But I do support public education.
Hey, Ellen, you skipped me on that one.
Oh,
So yeah,
I'm sorry.
I would
That can happen. Go ahead, Josh.
No problem. We're all human. I'd echo a lot of what Chad said on that. I have a vision for our school facilities. The heart, these principals, when they were talking about the facilities, they were exuding joy. Even the folks that were leading at the middle school and Viking and Evergreen, these older buildings, they looked like fun people to work for. And they were all first and foremost making sure people understood that their staff is what makes their building awesome, not the building, right? But I think as a homeschool dad, I've looked at my wife a few times, right, and said, boy, we've been paying a lot of property taxes for a long time and not using the facilities. Well, there's elderly people doing that. There's a lot of people. That's part of living in a community. And early on we went, okay, that's just a sacrifice we make. No big deal. But again, I believe that we should be the envy of other school districts. And yeah, money follows kids, but we will not have that problem. We have more and more kids leaving our school district, going to private schools and homeschooling the last couple of years. That shouldn't even be on the table. If we give them first-class education, great experiences, families aren't going to be looking at other more expensive options. It doesn't make sense for a family to do that.
Thank you. And the next question goes first to Chad. And I'm just trying to decide how to put this more simply in a compound sentence so we can get more in. So just bear with me for a minute. It's a curriculum question. And I'll just ask it in the parts I have, I guess. What is your definition of a divisive curriculum? And give an example. And why do you believe it does or doesn't have a place in our schools? Chad first.
Okay, thanks for asking that. I think anything that is dividing a group of people into a group identity, whether that's race or religion or sexual orientation or whatever it might be, that is giving an opportunity to be divisive, I don't think that has a place. And so that's why we've talked about not wanting that in place in Holmen. I don't think it's there, but we've seen, and undeniably so, all around the country, that there are areas that's unfortunately happening. And really, we just want to make sure that doesn't happen in the first place. There's been people in the leadership positions that have called Josh and I out, saying that we've said things that we have not said. We've simply said we want to make sure that it stays out, because nobody can deny the fact that it's going around the country. We just want to make sure that doesn't happen here in Holmen.
Can I just ask, because part of the question asked for, what is an example? Can you give an example of what you consider a divisive curriculum? And what each of you, would you please try to build that into your answer?
Yeah, you bet. Anything, like I said, I think anything that is grouping people and as a group identity versus their individual characteristics. So when we simply define someone based on their group, you're taking the humanization away, the individual characteristics that make someone who they are. And I just don't think we should do that.
Okay, and Josh? Same question?
Yeah, thanks. I've answered this question. If I could count how many times I've answered this question in the last 2.5 months, I've gotten a lot of messages on this, because we put that on our literature, being not being career politicians, and that one hit a button. So I'll echo what Chad said. I mean, we just had the school board president on Monday telling the entire community that Chad and I think that the teachers are responsible for teaching divisive curriculum in our schools right now, and that we're displaying to them that we don't appreciate what they do because they're responsible for it. We've never said that a single time. We have said we oppose this. What's driven me the most wild, and I'll need more than 30 seconds to give you a more detailed answer on the curriculum, is the division, that every item is a left, right, crazy, let's get all upset, as opposed to maintaining our calm and speaking logically and trying to find solutions. So an example, I mean, just like Chad said, dividing people up by groups, we need to, it's not beneficial. we should be accentuating people's character and individualness. All those things play into a person's individualness and who they are, right? Their cultural backgrounds, their race, their sexual orientation, however they identify as an individual is powerful. But there's certain things that that families are responsible to teach, and certain things that the schools are. The school board is not responsible for making any of this curriculum. So this is a state issue along with teachers formulating.
I'm gonna have to.
Thank you.
You
Sorry,
may get
Adam.
an opportunity somewhere else to comment more on that, but we've got to move on. So, Rebecca, same question.
I'm probably going to be the opposite on Josh on this one and taking the time. I'm going to go way under. To me, it is a new word. It's a new word to me. It's a new concept to me. It's new, floating around. I'm not familiar with the specific definition of it. So I guess I would fail the community right now in that definition. So I cannot give an example. I do just want to say a little bit that it may affect other children to feel guilty. That's, I guess, all I would have to say in my little knowledge of that term. So I apologize.
Thank you. Barb, same question.
Well, I guess I'm aware that this divisive curriculum term is being distributed in our community. And I'm going to be completely honest with you when I say that it sounds to me that this is simply meant to imply that CRT is an issue, which is critical race theory. And critical race theory is not taught in a single K through 12 school in the state of Wisconsin. Every child deserves an accurate, honest, and quality education, no matter the color of their skin or where they call home. And it's our responsibility to prepare children for the future. And we need to teach them both the good and the bad of our history. Children deserve an honest and accurate education that enables them to learn from the mistakes of our past and help create a better future.
Thank you. And this is a very specific question from a voter. And I guess it goes first to Josh, if I have this correct. Do you support bills that would require a teacher to submit a year's set of lesson plans and allow parents to review the plans and critique them? I think this is fairly brief answers, I hope, but that's a question.
Can you repeat it for me, Ellen? I didn't totally catch it.
Sure. Do you support bills that would require a teacher to submit a year's set of lesson plans and allow parents to review the plans and critique them, the lesson plans?
Definitely not. Our teachers have plenty of work to do already, and they're working after hours. No, I don't.
Same question, Rebecca.
I agree with Josh. Teachers don't have time to do that for an entire year. So no, I do not agree with that.
Thank you. Barb?
The district teaches curriculum mandated by standards set by Wisconsin DPI, and we put our trust into our public education system, and thus I believe teachers should continue to have the flexibility to teach without additional restrictions.
Thank you. And Chad?
Ellen, you found a question we all agree on. No, I don't think that is realistic. I mean, not only from a time perspective, but not only that, but all the good teachers that I know individualize their curriculum to fit their class. There's no way you could know a year ahead of time what your class makeup is going to be and what they're going to need and the best thing for them. So no, I don't think that's realistic.
Thank you. And this next question will go first to Rebecca. This race, like others locally and across the country, has become very partisan / political. Do you feel confident in your ability to be nonpartisan as you sit on the school board?
As I'm sitting on the school board, I feel that I've been nonpartisan over this past 6 years. It's been very difficult, I would have to say, during this election period, but overall in my past 6 years, I have.
Thank you. Barb, same question?
Again, we need to hear and consider all sides of anything that comes our way. And I think that if I were to sit on the board, I would have no problem being nonpartisan.
Thank you. Same question, Chad.
Yeah, I think not only have all these races become partisan, but in most instances, not most, a lot of instances, it's also become really toxic where there's a lot of this and maybe not enough listening going on. I definitely think that I'd be able to be partisan. I mean, I take care of members of the community from all walks of life, have conversations with them every single day. Do we always agree on everything? No, but we're able to have those conversations. And I think it's important to be able to have those conversations and ensure that those conversations are happening. When you have an entire board who thinks one way, you're not gonna get the best outcome. So as Josh said in the intro, there needs to be a little bit of discussion done back and forth, not to say that it has to be heated or it has to be name calling or things like that, but there has to be different opinions and different perspectives to try to come to the best solution. But yes, I definitely think that's possible.
Thank you. And Josh, same question.
Yeah, the job of the board is to represent and be there for the entire community. So whether my personal beliefs on a certain subject really shouldn't matter if I'm doing my job right. So we hear things, we take into account that individual's experiences, and then we go and we discuss, what are the positives, negatives, what can we be doing, what's our role? And I don't think I'd have a problem at all being nonpartisan in evaluating anything like that.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask one last question because I see we're at 7:48 and give time for closings. So this is a question about the challenges going forward. What do you think the goals and needs of the school district should be in the future? Did you hear the question, Barb?
Oh, I didn't hear you were calling on me.
Oh, sorry.
So I think that there were some issues that were amplified by the pandemic. I think we've learned a lot. We've learned that some children do actually do better in a virtual setting. We do know that some children do better in person. And I think that we could probably expand some of our learning opportunities for children in the future. But I think one of the biggest things we need to look at going forward is the results of things that we've learned during this pandemic, especially when it comes to mental health. The board recently announced that funds are going to be used for the creation of new positions at every building to address the mental and emotional needs of our students. While I believe that they've done an excellent job at addressing those issues, I think more could be done to address other mental and emotional needs in our district.
Thank you. Same question, Chad.
I think we've kind of hit this one a lot tonight, right? The big challenges. Number one is teacher pay. I've talked to a lot of people who talked about the results from a survey that they did back in October through the Holmen Education Association, that the number one thing that they want and is important to them is pay. It doubled any other response. So figuring that out is a huge challenge. We need to be creative to find ways to figure that out. Just like I said earlier, our buildings are in bad shape to the point that we might need to make some very, very difficult decisions going forward. And we need a strong, strong leader to walk us through that. If we're going to go to the community and say we need some help, we need somebody that can hold the district's hands through that. And so those are two huge issues. The biggest issue, though, that I think is we need to bring the community back together. We need to heal the divide that's happened over the course of the last 2 years, and repair that. And I think it's possible. We just need to work at it.
Thank you. Josh, same question?
Yeah, thanks. You know what? This has been a tough campaign. Just echoing what Chad said at the end there. I want to, Barb and Rebecca have been great folks to run against, very kind and decent all the way through this. Social media, unfortunately, brings out the worst in a lot of people. And so I always believe that those voices and those things are a small minority of the people that are out there. But I echo that we need to be excited about the future. We need to lead together strongly. And, the facilities, I pounded that. When people flip properties in real estate and they don't do a good job of it, we say you can only polish a turd so long and you realize it's still a turd. Some of our facilities, I'm not going to call them turds, but we need a lot of work, and we're going to need to rally the community to get that done. We're going to need to be real creative on our budgets. That has to happen. We literally can't keep teaching in these buildings. That's the principals. They weren't saying that, but that's what I was hearing. And then our teacher pay, that is paramount. We got to have excited workers. No matter how they love their jobs, they would have left already. We got to compensate them more than fairly to keep the best ones around.
Thank you. And Rebecca? Same question.
Budget challenges, I think, are always going to be something of the school district. I agree. We do have a divided community right now. That's going to be a huge challenge, no matter what the end result is of this election. I do think one of the challenges is the social emotional effects on some of our children during this pandemic. So that'll be something we have to work on. And then also, I think the goal of achieving academic excellence, inclusivity and equity is important for the entire district. And I think that'll just continue to be a challenge and something we're always working on.
Thank you. And we'll move to closing. I don't think there's a problem if we go a few minutes over the 8 o'clock on the YouTube channel for the district. So take the 2 minutes if you want your 2 minutes, and the first closing is from Chad.
Thanks, Helen. I just want to thank you for this. This has been really fun, and I enjoyed being part of it. So Josh and I are not politicians. We aren't professional school board members. We realize that there'll be a lot of things that we'll need to learn once we're on the board, because we haven't been sitting in those seats for 20 plus years. But I think that's one of the main reasons that our message has been so well received over the course of the last 2 months. People are ready for new perspectives. They're ready for new ideas and new leadership. Tonight, we were able to bring up and talk about some of the important issues facing our school district. Teacher attraction and retention needs to be addressed through compensation. There's no other way about it. 3 of our schools need attention to be brought up to the standards that we would expect in our Holmen school district. And parents need to feel like their voices are being heard in an equitable way. Most importantly, we need to find a way to bring our community back together and heal this divide. And the last 2 years have shown us that what's going on at the board level needs to change. And we can't accept the status quo any longer. A vote for Josh and I is a vote for that change. To the parents in the district who've been frustrated over the last 2 years, we're here and we're ready to listen. To the teachers in the district who've seen their steps frozen on pay 6 out of the last 10 years, we're ready to make this thing right and ensure that you're compensated fairly and competitively. And to the taxpayers who think they should have the option of coming to board meetings and speaking and voicing their concerns, we plan on changing that policy back the next time it's reviewed. So this is your opportunity to make that change. I hope after hearing our vision tonight, you take advantage of that opportunity and vote for that change by voting for us on April 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh, your closing?
All right. Yeah, thanks, Ellen. You're a sweet lady, and appreciate you moderating tonight. Yeah, this election has been either way. On April 6th, I'm going to wake up and hug my wife and be really happy. And I hope Barb and Rebecca and Chad are also, no matter how this goes. It's been it's been good. This campaign process, a lot of great people have come out, and I've met a lot of neat people and been able to learn a lot actually too. One thing that I never thought I would be that passionate about, ashamedly, is our teacher pay. I didn't know it was an issue. That's why I wasn't passionate about it. But that's one thing that a handful of teachers have really talked about. We've kind of been mocked by saying that we could do something about that. I mean, Chad and I, we're out in what we do and in the business, high value people. It's hard to place a value on them. I believe, both of us believe, that great teachers should be making six figures. That sounds crazy, and it's going to take a little while for us to actually get the school budget to a place where something like that's realistic. Great teachers. If you're not great at your job, you don't get compensated great. That's how the world should work. We got to unfreeze these steps for the teachers so that they can earn more. But we went to work thinking, hey, what can we do? Because the budget's going to take a while to get teachers compensated. So one thing we're excited about, we're going to release a video, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. And Chad and I, if we're elected, we're forming a nonprofit group that is going to be something about Holmen teachers incentives, excellence incentives. And we're both going to donate. We weren't going to take our pay for this position anyway. We just want to make sure that we're doing it wholeheartedly in service, but we're going to seed the nonprofit with that. We're going to hit business owners in the area. We're both going to donate on behalf of our businesses, $1,000 a piece. So we'll have about $8,000 in this. We're going to hit up business owners, and family members will be able to donate $100 to this. If just 10% of our local families donate $100 to this, and not everybody can, and that's fine, we'll be able to have teachers nominated for this. We should be able to get 30, 40 grand into this first year. And a great way to be able to grow this thing. I have a vision of several $100,000 a year from area businesses that people come to our community. Teachers want to be here because this is something they can shoot for that'll make a tangible today difference. So we'll release some details on that. We'll have some wrinkles we'll need to iron out, but we got to think outside the box.
I'm going to have to stop you, Josh, so we can.
Thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Certainly. Rebecca, your closing?
Yes, I just want to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event. And I still want to continue to serve the school district of Holmen, even under these trying times. I'm open and honest and transparent. If I can't find the answer, I guarantee that I will find it and get back to somebody. This is an election cycle different than any other. We have an awesome district, excellent teachers, administration, support staff. I can't be more thankful. I want to thank those teachers, educators, any staff for lifting up our children consistently, making it through this pandemic. Hopefully we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. And I would also appreciate your vote on April 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. And Barb, your closing.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to have my beliefs and visions expressed here this evening. This district is very special to me. I entrusted the district to provide my children with a quality education, and I couldn't be more proud of the young men that my boys have become. To you, the parents of Holmen, I thank you for your courage, perseverance, and great love for your children through the unprecedented times of the last 2 years. As a community, we need to come together. I have to believe we all have the same vision, that we want our children to have the best public education that we can give them. I believe that I am one of the people that will help achieve that. Our public school district is not a business. I'd like to thank the Holmen Education Association for their endorsement. And if elected, I look forward to working with our staff. They are the backbone of this institution and deserve our continued support and respect. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all of the candidates this evening. I'm glad we could all be together, and I can't vote in your election, but I'm hopeful that the people watching who could maybe watching live now or will tune in before Election Day on April 5th will gain some information about the candidates and make good choices. That's what League of Women Voters is about. Voting rights, educating voters, and we are pleased to be able to do this evening. I also want to thank Mary Nugent, who's behind the screen with the words right now, and for excellent timekeeping, and the school district Stacy Lockington, who was very instrumental in getting this all set up as well. Much easier for our league not to have to do a lot of the web-based details. Certainly for me, I'm not technical at all. So anyway, again, thank you so much. I wish you all the best of luck. And for those of you listening, please remember to vote on April 5th. It really is important, most important to vote in local elections. They're the ones that hit you the most, affect you the most. So make an effort to learn more about these candidates. Contact them individually if you have questions or concerns. And again, please vote on April 5th, or you can vote now. Early voting right now. So thank you all and good evening.